Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Living Astrology with Janet Hickox. Grab your cup of coffee or your tea, sit back, and let's chat about what is happening up in the sky above us today, August 5th. And I hope everybody is having a good day so far. We are now with the moon in the sign of Pisces, so energy has changed and shifted. I hope everybody can feel that. And not in a negative way, right? Not in a conflicting or contentious sort of way. It is just different. And I felt that this morning when I woke up from some very odd dreams. Don't even remember the details of this one. It was sort of a voyage, I guess, through the dream, through my life. It was weird. So hopefully everybody's doing well. And let's see who's checking in early with us this morning. Amy Energy, good morning to you. Debbie Tibbetts Tumiel, good morning. It's good to see you. And I'm sure there are others that will check in with us here shortly. So today we're going to talk about a couple of things. One, of course, we're going to talk about the moon. And the only aspect she is making today is a sextile to Uranus, which is a lot, right, when you think about what Uranus represents. But also we'll talk about what is the moon, what is the feeling of the moon, what is our emotional subtleties that are going on with the moon in Pisces. And then we're going to switch over to human design today as the gates for the nodes have shifted into the 12 and the 11 from the 10 and the 15. And the sun and the earth have also changed gates and start our week of collaboration and deep listening, which we did yesterday. I just felt like yesterday was a day we really needed to hear the message about listening, because that was the energy of the Pleiadian calendar. It was the energy in a couple of the transits that we were experiencing, and knowing, of course, that the earth was about to shift into that particular gate also made it prudent that we talk about that. So we'll have that to talk about today, as well as what the Pleiadian-Earth energy is for the day. So it is not a very strenuous day by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, today, tomorrow, and even some early morning part of Friday are really an easier sort of time. It doesn't mean that we don't have things happening. It just means there's not whatever's been already put into motion is in motion. There's not a lot more put into motion. But as we move into the weekend, of course, we'll have the moon transiting out of Pisces and into Aries, and then coming into eventually that square configuration with our planets in Capricorn, as well as the moon meeting up with Mars and with Eris and Black Moon Lilith. Yay! So the weekend could be a little bit different story than what it is that we have today. So enjoy the peace and the quiet while you have it. So let me check in again really quickly, saying good morning to the rest of the people joining us. Jennifer Peachy, good morning. Loanne, good to see you. And so let's just start with what's going on with the moon, because the moon, I'm trying to organize the broadcast in the morning so that our most important things are sort of put up at the top. But I'm also thinking that maybe the daily astrology itself should be at the top, because fewer people are here in the very beginning in the morning. So I don't know, but that's what I'm going to do this morning. I'm going to jump right into the daily astrology, because the meat and potatoes of what I really want to talk about today has to do with human design. So I want to make sure the most number of people are here in the broadcast to hear that part. So the moon is in Pisces, and Pisces, being the last sign of the zodiac, brings things into a sort of completion. We have the subconscious fish swimming with the conscious fish, and we are moving that energy through all of our lessons, all of the deeper underlying secrets that we've been holding, or the things that have that lay in our subconscious, coming up to the surface. And so I think a lot of you, because I know I have, and I know other people around me have, been experiencing a lot of subconscious stuff, old patterns coming up to the surface. And the reason, of course, wouldn't be not to punish us or to make us suffer, but which we could do with Piscean energy. We could choose to suffer, but there is no need to suffer. It is all about just bringing it out and allowing the light of the day to kind of go through a process of purging, of of letting it go, shining those lights into the darker places, help us to purify ourselves, to detoxify ourselves of those old patterns or old beliefs or old relationships, old things, whatever it is that we've been holding on to. Pisces is also water. So water is emotional, and it's deep waters here in Pisces, second only to Scorpio in terms of the watery nature of it, the deeper waters of this. So we're swimming in the waters of imagination, right? Imagination, Pisces, one of the more creative and imaginative signs as they sort of tap into the ideal world, right? The ideal world where all things are possible. Remember yesterday, our energy was about all things are possible. As we went into the void yesterday with the energy of the dark or the night. And what did that bring to us, right? What were you able to bring up yesterday or bring out that might serve you as we move forward here? So also along with imaginative and creative energy comes the energy of confusion and sleep deprived or needing more sleep, feeling more sleepy, and as well fantasy and a bit of chaos. This is sort of that there's a primordial chaos that might be occurring under the surface here, where deep water currents are running and moving things up to the surface, and then surface things going back down into the deep. So it is that Piscean energy, right? Moving us from the deep into the shallow, and moving the shallow into the deep, and bringing it more and more. It's, you know, when you think about the fish, it's what the fishing industry looks for, right? Where cold water dives down, it's denser, it dives down and then comes back up, and the warm water then has an opportunity to shine for a while, and then it dives back down. So currents are generated by warm and cold waters. And the same thing here, right? We might think of the warm as when we're in the conscious mind, and the cold when we're more in the deeper subconscious minds, and how that rolls through different cycles to bring stuff up. Chaos is just a part of that, right? It stirs the pot, it brings things to the surface. Pisces also rules those states of joy that we can get into, bliss and ecstasy, that just joyful happiness, that inner happiness that for no reason at all, you might just be feeling that exuberance and that wonderful inner happiness that just exudes out of you. And that is definitely a Piscean state, the state of bliss, right? Reminds me of the gate 58. In our human design, which sits on the root center, not the emotional center, but the root center, that says that joy and bliss and ecstasy are a very real format energy within the template of the body human. So it's not something outside of you that brings you that joy or that happiness. It's coming from within you as an energy that just is already there. It just needs to be brought up and out. Well, today's a day to bring that up and out. Pisces also rules universal love. So bigger concepts of love, not just, you know, we love one another here, but this universal energy of love. And in that we have that connection to our higher power. So that might be to God or goddess or source or cosmic mind, whatever you call that, to your inner divine spark. And in that then is this energy of surrendering, of trusting that everything that is going on the planet in your own personal life is happening exactly as it was meant to happen for your highest good, right? This is not the karmic hand coming down and swatting you. This is really about what are you learning and how can you take what you've learned and apply it to your life and make changes, right? Otherwise, it's that psychosis that we've been in, that deep psychosis where we keep making the same mistakes, expecting a different result, and we just go round and round and round, never getting off that wheel of samsara, as Richard Rudd would say, or as even I think Buddhist religion and Buddhist thought might talk about. The wheel of samsara, that wheel of karma that keeps us rolling round and round and round, where we never stop it. take a step back and look in and go, I'm just so done with that, right? And that brings me to, trusting that the higher power is there for you as well. Letting go, letting God. That's a Piscean ideal. And it calls for spiritual purification, right? Letting all of that toxic old stuff out and bringing in the light, bringing in the new, and elevating ourselves, right? Always elevating, always moving up that spiral of consciousness as we see in our Pleiadian-Earth calendar, which, by the way, I reached out today to Pia. Pia Orlean is one of the contributors to the calendar, along with her significant other, Cullen. And I would really love to bring them on the show and talk with them again. But also, I know it was about this time last year that the 2020 Pleiadian calendar was launched. So I'm hoping that the 2021 is almost ready, and I can pass that information on to you so we all have it in enough time for the new year. And I know that seems like it's a long way away, but it's August already, right? We've already entered the third quarter of the year in terms of the astrological, or more likely the human design template of the year. So third quarter leads to fourth quarter, means it's almost ready to start over. We have a lot to go. Don't mind me. I'm just like always thinking off to the future. So surrendering, trusting, using our spiritual tools, meditation or yoga or any of the healing methods that we have to help us clear through all of that goo, if you will, that is stuck to us at times, looking for a spiritual purification, right? Releasing toxins and purifying both our bodies, our minds, our hearts, our environment that we're in, so that we have a clean slate, so to speak. Now, along with universal love comes energies like tolerance and forgiveness and compassion and oneness, very, very Piscean topics, and psychic sensitivity, right? The ability to tap in using our emotions as our sensors, especially if you're emotionally defined, using our awareness of the subtle energies that are around us. At times, I'm sure I'm not the only one that ever does this, where I just sense either a presence or a change in the energy. Those are our subtle bodies that are sensing that the subtle energies are shifting in some way, and they're heightened during moon transit through Pisces. All of the mystical states of awareness that we think of are also a part of this. High psychic ability or high intuition, also a part of this. And don't forget, everybody, Neptune is still retrograde. He went retrograde in, I think it was June, maybe it was late May. No, it was in June, and is retrograde until November. When Neptune is retrograde, i.e. the ruler of Pisces is Neptune, we all seem to be a little more alert to what and aware of the incoming information, the stream of consciousness, if you will, the cosmic eye, www dot, right, where this information stream is moving into the planet. And we're always, we have lots of different energy centers that tune in to this incoming field of energy. And I noticed yesterday an article in, what was it, Space Weather, that the new solar cycle is beginning to pick up speed. And when we have a solar cycle that begins to pick up speed, it's an opportunity to change direction, to move in a new area, into a new area of our lives. And it also starts to lessen the number of neutrinos and cosmic particles that are coming into the Earth. So it calms down the mutation energy so that we can really begin to integrate a new direction. So a part of this ability we have right now to really tap in is about being positioned for what comes next, right? Whatever that might be, and being able to have all the tools that you need in order to get through whatever it is that comes up. So we have high psi and we have high awareness, and all we have to do is tap into it. The moon in Pisces just reminding us of that little factoid, so that we remember that when we're feeling this energy, that it's really truth, right? It's truth, and it's putting us in the way of knowing which way to go, what to do, who to be with, etc. Now, of course, along with any sign change comes the emphasis perhaps on the more negative qualities, not for punishment again or not for suffering, but just for us to understand ourselves more, to really see what is going on. And of course, Pisces energy takes us into the role of the victim. The victim and the martyr energy comes through here, and we can take a look at where are we still playing in that role? Where are we still holding on to that sort of victim consciousness? Along with that victim mentality, we need to identify procrastination in our lives. Pisces sometimes puts off until tomorrow what it doesn't want to do today. And if that's the case, it might be better to just greet it head on. Its opposite point, polar point, is Virgo. Virgo just does, right? Whatever's in front of it. Pisces puts it on the back burner, hoping not to have to deal with it, but eventually will have to deal with it. So if there's something you've been procrastinating on or putting back, watch for more of that kind of behavior. Panic and anxiety are also a part of the more negative aspects, particularly if you're getting up in your head or you're getting into that victim mode. So you're going to want to watch for that. And disappointment, another big one that comes in through the Pisces shadow. What are you disappointed in yourself or in others or in your life in general? And what is that disappointment about? Because I think, in that disappointment comes the addictions and to the self-deceiving sort of energies that we pop into, or where others can easily deceive us. We're gullible to some of that when we have a moon moving through Pisces. And the source of that isn't that you're bad or you're wrong. It's not that at all. It's that we see through a lens, all of us see through a lens of ideal or the idealistic or the idealism, and we also see through the filter of realism. And where those two sometimes come crashing into one another, where maybe I had these very romantic notions about what relationship is, and I totally overlook all of the warning bells in that other person that I'm thinking of getting into deeper relationship with. Then I go ahead and I get into that relationship from that sense of idealistic or idealism, and then the reality bites, right? It comes in and you're like, oh no, what did I do, right? So now I'm facing a choice. I can stay in this victim mentality and still be abused or used or whatever's going on in that relationship, or I can choose to move out of that sort of field and into a more powerful place. But sometimes those disappointments add up, and we turn to drugs or alcohol or other self-soothing methods that aren't necessarily healthy for us. And we lean into that victim mentality instead of clearing it out of our field. So watch for that. And it doesn't mean that you're going to become a victim, but you may notice where that victim energy may be playing a role in your life. In the body, Pisces rules the lymphatic system, right? So our lymph nodes, all the places in the body that manufacture the white blood cells that are the immune system, right? So the immune system, we want our immune system to be strong, and part of having a strong immune system is clearing out the poisons and the toxins in your environment, from your body, from your energy field, from your home. So a part of what we can do while we're aware in Piscean energy is to let go of those things, right? Whatever it is that's toxic in your life. It also rules colds and flus. Interesting, right? With COVID virus still out there, and the feet, right? So the feet. So if you're having feet issues or your immune system is suffering, then it might be a call to let go of some things, right? It can be toxic things like stuff that you're holding on to, literal stuff like old clothes or old, paintings and pictures or whatever it is that you're holding on to. I hold on to books and my husband holds on to all kinds of gadgets like, tools and stuff. And, sometimes I look at my books and I'm like, I don't need that book, but I still don't do anything about it. So what energy are these things in your life holding on to? That might be something you could look at. The Virgo discerning eye might go, you need space on that bookshelf for new books. Make room. All right, so that's our Pisces journey. Now, Pisces moon in a sextile to Uranus might mean that there's some inner awakening going on. It's not, Uranus doesn't always waken by shock like yesterday's bomb or explosion in Beirut. Whatever reason that happened, I'm sure that had a shocking effect on the residents of that particular area. And as it is, let's see, Mars is at the gate of shock until tomorrow, the 6th. Yeah, tomorrow. So we are, still maybe possibly in our lives being shocked in some way into action, into taking a step forward. And that's what Mars would be about, right? Taking steps forward, movement, dynamic movement, meaning I'm choosing movement. And some of us need to be shocked at times in order to get into that kind of movement. And I know there were other problems going on in that part of Lebanon, in all of the country of Lebanon. So maybe this gives them that impetus to, out of that explosion and explosive energies, to start something new, right? To start over in some way, shape, or form. So the sextile, though, to Uranus means maybe it's not so crazy of a shock. Maybe it's more just the revelation, right? The awakening within of something that gives you the insight that you need to move forward in some way, or maybe to move backwards in order to move forwards, right? We always say this in human design, and I haven't said this in a while, but a lot of the energy through the gates, through the channels and the gates, is about 2 steps forward and then 1 step back. That's sort of the path that we take, right? We jump ahead and then we discover, oops, maybe that's not so smart. And then we take a step backwards, get some more perspective, and take another couple of steps forward and another step backward. And life is like that. But it doesn't mean that we're failing. It means that we are doing exactly what happens in life, right? It moves forward and then comes back for integration or for perspective, and then moves forward again. And you're always still 1 step forward, right? You're always a forward step. So there's your Piscean energy for the day. I see more people showing it up in the morning here. Adrienne, good morning. Oh my gosh, I love your colors. Most of you guys know the story, but years ago, right around my Chiron return, and before my Saturn return, I did this very wonderful exercise where you get I got a giant board, like a 4 feet by 4 feet. And you go and you buy a lot of magazines, or you can get them free. I went to the library, and anything that they were throwing away, they gave me. And without censoring yourself at all, you go through the magazine and you cut out pictures that you resonate with. You don't need to know why you resonate with it. Just because you love it, you cut it out. Once you've got it cut out, then you go and you paste them or tape them onto this board. Well, when I went through that process, a couple of themes emerged. One was color, and the other one was landscapes, like the feeling that I wanted to adventure, I wanted to travel, I wanted to see other worlds and other countries and other lifestyles. So the color thing was the most interesting, because I then went to my wardrobe and saw grays and blacks and dark blues, and I went, whoa. So then I found this website that helped me figure out what my color schemes were, and they were all the colors I love: the pinks, the peaches, the blues that are more vibrant. Even black is not a bad color for me if I can pair it with something colorful. So I went through that whole process and discovered that I love color. So then I started colorizing, and if you guys saw my closet, it's in rainbow order. So it goes Roy G. Biv, right? Reds to the oranges, to the yellows, which I don't wear yellow, and then into the pinks, and finally into the blacks and the grays, or grays and the blacks. I know that sounds a little bit Virgo. I do have my moon in Virgo, but that's one thing you can do to actually discover some truths about yourself. And I had felt like I was diminishing in my life, and that was the greatest exercise ever to bring me back to who I was. And I'd forgotten how much I loved color. So there's that. Sally, good morning. And do you know the name of the Solar Plexus Authority video? I'm not able to find it. I do. I will find that for you. Maybe before we go off air, I can look. Oh, I won't be able to look at all the videos while I'm on air, but I will find that for you. It was, I can almost see it. Anyway, but I will do that for you, Sally. And Ursula, good morning. Sally also says, I think we are most vulnerable to the negative side of a sign, such as Pisces, when our south node is in there. Do others find that to be true? That is likely possible, because what are you carrying in the south node, which is often karma, experiences from other lifetimes, the places where you keep trying to do things the same way, but it doesn't work because the path of destiny is tugging you, pulling you toward that north node, pushing you even into that north node. So it's possible you may find there where you're spinning your wheels and not gaining traction, and then getting into that, oh, woe is me sort of attitude. So definitely something that might be occurring for you there. Ursula, she says, I'm a lover of collecting books too, and good thing you've kept many of your older books, as they are now priceless, right? Yes, 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 yes. I was telling Ursula the other day, she had sent me a video or an article, I can't remember now which it was, by an astrologer who I thought I'd never heard of. So when I went searching for that particular author and listening to what he was saying, I realized I had a book that he'd written. And I went right into my bookshelf and got it. And when I looked it up on Amazon, it was worth $920. And I was like, what? So definitely keeping that particular book. And Adrian, yes, I have a rainbow closet too. Color is powerful. Debbie, you're a winter, so you would be great in sunshine yellow. I'm actually a spring, which is so bizarre, a spring. And no, I'm a summer. No, which one has the pink as the color? I think it's spring. And Ursula, my natal moon, Chiron, and Jupiter are in Pisces opposite the sun in Virgo. The seesaw is a rockin'. I bet it is. I bet it is. Very pale yellow. I should try yellow, Debbie. Maybe I'll do that next time I decide I need to buy a new shirt or something. Okay, let us do a transition now over to some of the human design things that have changed up. And you know what I did not do this morning? I did not bring up the human design chart for the day. How silly of me, because I knew I was going to focus on this. It was a very odd morning for me, you guys, because every morning I do not eat breakfast. I'm not really a big breakfast eater. I will eat breakfast, but it's not my favorite thing to do. And I've been seeing a nutritionist to help me get on the right track nutritionally. And yesterday was my appointment with her. And it's only my second appointment with her. So it's not, it's not like I've been seeing her for very long. So she doesn't know me very well. But one of the questions she asked me was about breakfast. And I said, I don't want to eat breakfast. So, but she said, it's a part of, being healthy and what have you. And I said, but anyway, I agreed I would try this out. So I took the afternoon yesterday and I pre-made food for breakfast. I have an Instant Pot. I popped in some eggs and made sous vide, which is something Starbucks does. They're little egg bites, right? They're small. They're size of a marshmallow, and they're packed with, I put bacon and bell pepper and onion and mixed it with the egg, and then cooked up ahead some sausage links. And so I could actually easily just put these things on a plate and eat them. So I actually ate breakfast this morning, but that took more time away from what I was doing, preparing. And that was sort of an unexpected, oh yeah, I have to make time now to eat breakfast, because I agreed I would do that to see how it might affect my physical being. And so yeah, I'm going to have to plan a little bit more ahead these days. So let me share my screen now, and I'll bring up the human design chart. And oh, maybe I won't. Maybe I should find it first. There we go. And there we go. All right, now I'm going to share my screen, and you guys will be able to see the human design chart and the changes that it has brought up for us. Share. Could my computer freeze? What on earth? Well, that was bizarre. Somehow Zoom froze. It froze my YouTube, and so I'm back. Thankfully, right? All you have to do is shut it off and turn it back on. That can be a little chaotic for everybody, though. So I know you guys will catch up and find me here shortly. So I apologize for the tech glitch. Not sure what that was all about, but hey, whatever, right? We just go with the flow here. Otherwise, you can drive yourself crazy. So I was attempting to share my screen so that I could bring up the chart for today, and for whatever reason that didn't want to come up. I see it in the picture. Well, I guess we're going to move on without being able to show you the chart, which is fine, right? Which is fine. Let me close that. Maybe that will help. And let me go back here again and try to open it up a new way. It's in my downloads. There we go. I'm not very patient when I see that darn hourglass. I really don't want to wait for the hourglass to go away. I just want it to work now. I mean, I'm on a time budget here, right? All right, it doesn't want to share. I mean, Zoom will probably share it, but the thing itself doesn't want to come up. Let me try to do this a different way then. The Just Now chart is there, so let me do it from the actual website. And, okay, fine. Wow, what is going on here? Perfect. All right, now it's not the way I wanted to show it to you, but okay, we'll deal with it, right? We just got to do what we got to do, because what I wanted to show you today about your human design is that we have moved into a new quarter. So like astrology and like most systems of belief, there are quarters, and every quarter has a theme. The human design year actually begins January 22nd. And so we have the first quarter from January to March, and then almost into April, and then April into this period of time. And then now we've entered into the third quarter. And they're roughly like the planting of a seed in the first quarter, the seeing it growing and germinating, you know, popping through the soil and starting to grow in the second quarter. And then in the third quarter, we come to the manifestation quarter. So this is the quarter of manifestation, where all of the work that you've done, all of the seeds that you've planted are starting to really pay off, right? Where the work that you've put into things and the results are commensurate to each other. So if you've put in a lot of effort to something, a lot of good focus to something, then you're beginning to really see where things are blossoming. And if you haven't paid much attention to something, you're also noting that maybe you have to do an adjustment, a course correction, so that you can really get to what it is that you want to manifest in this particular year. Perhaps it's part of a yearly goal that you set back at the beginning, or perhaps it is more like a project, something that you wanted to get off the ground. So we have this quarter of manifesting right now. And in this, it's now to, you know, really up to you to decide how to do what it was that you were really wanting to do. When do you want to do that? And all of those things begin to come up. The focus for the gates of the sun over the next couple of months, the 3 months of this quarter, are going to be focusing our energy here in the sacral center and in the spleen center. So we have action, and we have forward momentum, we have coming to fruition, and we also have the spleen, which is about survival and fears, right? So some of the shadow energies are going to be coming up, some of the sacral energies, what do I do, where do I go, when do I do it, who, what, when, why, where, and how start to come up. We'll also explore some themes in the identity center during this period of time, and also up in the head center. So those are the energies that we'll be looking at over the next 3 months in this particular quarter of manifestation. And it's interesting that the quarter begins today with the sun and the earth also moving into new gates. The sun is now moved into the gate 7, which is sitting here on the identity center, reaching up to the throat center. This is often a channel that we call the channel of leadership. And the gate 7 is about collaboration. How do we come together to create something more than what I can do by myself, right? Working together, we achieve more. And that is going to be the signal for this particular week, setting off the idea of manifesting as we move forward further into this quarter. This is our opportunity now this week then to connect with like-minded people without the division, without saying, you're other, I don't want to hang out with you. But we do want to be with people that support us, support our dreams, that really hold out the highest and best for us as individuals. So finding those like-minded people, connecting to them, but not setting yourself apart from others. And in this way, then you get to bust out, right? Each of us getting to bust out in this quarter, in these next 3 months, in ways that maybe we could only have imagined before. Maybe we are really seeing what we want for the first time. Remember, yesterday there was a lot of focus on what do you want and what you desire, because that's what you're going to put your focus on. And if you put your focus on that, then you begin a creative process attracting that to you. Where if you're focusing on what you don't want, or you're focusing on the downside or the negative side of things, then you're magnetizing that towards you. So we have this very key opportunity here in this week that's starting today, with our ability to bust out of those old modes and to really connect with those people that can help us through collaboration, through working together. Instead of a hierarchy, we begin to see how we can create a synarchy where we're all working together. Hopefully that translates out into the outer world. Right? Wouldn't it be wonderful to wake up tomorrow and see how the governments of our world are in all the different governments, all your different governments coming together? Somebody finally wakes up and has reason and says, whoa, we can't accomplish anything if we're so diverging in different directions. Let's come together and work these things out. That would be the ideal. That is my ideal world, where someone steps up and says, hey, let's play nicely together. We're all in this sandbox. We have people counting on us. What do we want to deliver to the people? That's my dream. Janet for president. Anyway, no, don't do that. So then we have, at the same time that we're moving into a new week, into a new quarter, we are also seeing a change in the North Node and the South Node, which are charting the part that we are the pathway of our destiny. Now, this doesn't fundamentally change your own North Node and South Node, but it does add flavor, like a different topping to it, right? It's like, okay, let's try some paprika here, or let's try some pepper over here. It is changing a bit the flavor of what it is that you're attempting to do in your own life. Now, that means that the North Node now has moved to the gate 12, and the gate 12 now makes that connection to Neptune. Neptune is going to get to come out and play in a more powerful way. It's no longer just hanging here. By the way, the last few days, Neptune has been sitting opposite here with Venus at the gate 12. So Venus was at gate 12, connecting this channel of involution, right? I look at this channel as the channel of openness, being open to wisdom incoming from on high, being open to new ideas, new connections, new collaborations, new ways of thought. And that now, Venus today is the last day she will be sitting here, changing our values, realigning our values. And then the North Node sits here then for the next few months. And as the North Node sits here, we start to focus on what this channel is all about. And this channel, this gate, is the channel, or the gate of the channel, the gate of channeling, right? Access to super consciousness, where we are all able to bring in wisdom that maybe we've not had access to before. It can be so interesting for all of us over these next few months while we're sitting in this quarter of manifestation. What's coming in? I almost look to this with excitement. This is the power to change the world through words, through what we say. Connected to the throat, right? It's at the throat center. So If you don't believe in the power of words, then you're going to miss the boat here, right? So the power of words, what are you saying? And words have their formation in the mind. As the mind puts them together, sends the signals to the throat, to the larynx, in which the voice then portrays the words. So the words are going to be the power. We want to be able to speak with empathy and with compassion, with eloquence. We need a speaker to step up that has the voice, right? The voice. And this will be about dispelling vanity and everybody's own ideas of what they want to in a selfish sort of way, and being more self-centered, being more discriminating in what you're allowing through your field, what thought processes you're going through, realigning the thoughts, getting out of the soup from your head, and really just allowing more to come in, making space for cosmic consciousness, for God on high, for source, for goddess to come in with new wisdom, new thoughts, new ideas. So I'm really excited by this particular thing. Now, the North Node is something we are not as familiar with, so we have to do some work to get there. And it might feel alien to you to think about words before you actually say them. It might seem alien to you to sit in thought and just kind of contact trace, if you will, those thoughts that are coming up, and where are they at? What are your thoughts? Because often they lie so silent. I mean, your head might be loud, but the thoughts themselves, you're not necessarily aware of how or what it is that you're thinking about. So we get to be more discriminating in that area. We get to become more open to receiving that cosmic input. And then the South Node also shifts at the same time to the gate 11. This is the gate 11 up here on the Ajna. It moves down, and it's meeting up right now with Mercury at the gate of the storyteller. So this is an interesting gate because it has a lot of different meanings. On the Ajna, you would think it has certainty. And in some respects, the theme does translate through that particular gate, but it's really the gate of ideas where the light bulb comes on, right? The light bulb, these are ideas. This is the conceptualist, the one who can see the bigger picture and all the moving parts on the chessboard, but can't take and work all of those pieces at the same time. Right? No one person can do everything to change the world. So here we'll have to learn to be careful that we pick and choose the parts, the ideas, the concepts that we really resonate with, that are really for us, and then share our ideas with the other people that might need those ideas, that are better suited to those ideas. So this is a give and a take, an exchanging of ideas. It works great with the sun at gate 7 right now of collaboration. So whatever's inspiring us, let's share those ideas. Now, the one thing that we worry a little bit about with the gate 11 is that this is a gate sometimes that gets like myriads of ideas, and at one point they're not really sure which one is right for them, so they start talking about it, right? They start telling it down to the throat to other people, and sometimes one of the ideas that they may share is one that they were really meant to work on, and then what happens is someone else picks up that idea and starts to work with that idea and sort of scoops, if you will, the person whose original idea it was. So we want to be careful that we share or we voice with an invitation, right? It's someone inviting us. Do you have an idea of how I can do this? Or then that other person opening up and going, I have a great idea for you. Do you want to hear about it? And making sure that you've pulled out what's right for you first, and then sharing with the invitation. I'm hoping that's all making sense, because this is a time period of 3 months or so that we're going to be working with this in this quarter of manifestation, where all the work that we've been doing is, sitting there ripe, ready for us to pick the fruit off that tree. And these ideas are coming in and needing to also be transmitted out, but you got to know what's yours first. And that means you are really going to need to know your type, your strategy, and your authority in order to be in the right place with the right idea at the right moment, with the right people. And I know we talked a little bit about this the other day, but Richard Rudd, in one of his videos on, or audios, it was an audio, on the gate 11, talks about if there's even just a little pinpoint of light and we focus our attention on that light, we make that light bigger. So it comes out of the gene key shadow, which is obscurity, into idealism and into full-on light. So that's what we're doing. If we're focusing on what's good, what's the kernel out there, the little piece out there that's good, that's worthy, that's, you know, worth keeping and worth focusing more energy on, focus that. Make sure the words then that you're using are in alignment with that, and then we begin to see the change in our very environment, in our world. All right. Questions, comments. I'm not even sure if you guys are out there. Oh, hey. So Kimberly, good morning. J-Lo, good morning. Joy Ann. Yeah, I was on, and then Zoom locked up, and then I had to close out Zoom. When I closed out Zoom, that went the first part of the broadcast, and then I came back in. So voila, it's one of those days, right? So Josh, good morning. And Joy Ann says, I'm so excited about Venus getting cozy with the North Node. And indeed, magic wand time. I love that. J-Lo, woohoo, that completes my gate 22 and design. Everybody's design is now completed through 12 and 22. Let the involution begin, because that is truly what this looks like. Our more and more being able to and willing to embody spirit. Remember when we talked about the astrology of 2020 way back in December, and we were setting the tone for what the year ahead was going to be. And I told you that out of all the craziness that is this year, with the squares from the moon and any planet going through Aries and Cancer, to or Cancer and Capricorn being squared by Aries and Libra, that what we had as a saving grace in all of these huge cycles of time was Neptune. It was the only outlier from the previous time period, right? The Bronze Age that collapsed and into the Dark Ages. And, you know, what's going to keep us from collapsing into a new dark age? Well, it's Neptune and our ability as co-creators to really embody the light, to embody cosmic consciousness, our divineness. And remember, back in those days, it was very religious oriented. And so it was dictated to you. Your beliefs were dictated to you from outside of you. Now with Neptune sitting at gate 22, it's what are we resonating with from within? And what are we opening to from within? So that's what's possible, at least for these next 3 months, in a very powerful way, as 12 now connects with 22 for everyone, right? For everybody. And you got to remember too now, that energy has a little bit of mood attached to it, right? It's sitting, the 22 is on the solar plexus, and the 12 now connecting to it brings all of that emotion up to the throat. So if we're bringing emotion up to the throat, we have to be careful of what it is that we say. And the mood has to be right in order to be heard. And that means we might have to deal a lot with our own emotional energy as we are pre-solar plexus mutation. And we are still, you know, sort of experiencing those high highs and low lows. And we're needing to come to a smaller up and down, a narrower band of the high and the low. So really monitoring those emotions and not speaking from that reaction, speaking from response, right? Response, and with an invitation. So we'll have a lot to focus on. It's going to be completely different, I think, for us in terms of our maturing, right? Becoming more response able. Puts a lot of things in perspective if you think about the daily rhetoric that goes on, and people sometimes just blurting out stuff, you know, that they don't necessarily think their way through. And it's often a, what do we call that? A reaction, a gut-wrenching sort of reaction from what they're feeling, and not really stopping and breathing and responding to what it is that's happening. J-Lo, SpongeBob song, I'm ready. Are y'all ready, kids? That's funny. So yeah, and Josh, I'm right there with you. Oh shit, now we have to get our big girl, big boy panties on. We have to be prepared. We have to be in the way of spirit, right? Allowing spirit to embody within us. And that's the only way that we're going to be able, I'm not going to say it's the only way, it's the best way. It's the best way for us to go through this period of time, as this quarter also embodies that Mars retrograde and the Mars coming into conjunction with Eris, and then squaring the planets in Capricorn, Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto. And that embodies a lot of crazy. And the way forward through crazy is through embodied divinity, right? Really letting go of all of that confusion and that crazy making stuff, and really sensing, the grounding piece, right? Grounding in that divineness. And the more that we can do that, the more that we sail through this period of time and actually affect the field in a positive way. Joy Ann, that's how I have had it visualized for myself: a wild, rocky jungle road, bus ride, which with bumps and turns, but we steady ourselves with reaching up and grabbing hold of the roof handle. Neptune, indeed, right? That's that particular planet holds redemption. That particular planet, I think, gives us a way forward, right? A way forward. So wherever it is in your own chart, even looking and seeing, what part do I have to play in that moving forward, in that involution, that change within, that then begins to change the world outside of us. Okay, so the Pleiadian-Earth energy of the day, we're looking at 6 planting. And 6 is our energy of flow. And that means we might be presented with different obstacles along our path. This morning's obstacle was the Zoom freezing up and creating havoc in the broadcast. And I just went with that flow. I just did whatever I needed to do to go around it. That is the lesson in the day 6, is about going with the flow, recognizing that obstacles along the way are sometimes your friends, helping to push you into a different direction, in a different stream that is more of your liking, or more of what is true for you, for your destiny. And the planting energy is Kan in the Mayan calendar, which was a seed, right? It was like the kernel of corn, and they would, represented having the fertile soil, the fertile ground to plant a seed, and from that coming this beautiful corn plant that was sustaining their society, feeding their society. Now, Kan energy is also very youthful, immature sometimes. And so we also have to have patience with ourselves and with others along this path. And as well, Kan also is very lucky. Kan and planting energy often puts the right people in our path, the right circumstances in our path, so that we can take the next step, right? It's like beating the boss in the level and going on to the next level. So we have all of that happening here today as well. All right. Now, for those of you who, remember that it was last week, I think it was last week, that I was on Angel Heart Radio, and we were talking about the solar plexus mutation in human design. And at the end of that broadcast, both Anea, Carol Ann, and I realized, oh shoot, this is too big of a topic. We cannot get through all of this in one night. So we made agreements that we would come together again for another broadcast, and we have the date. It will be on Thursday, August 20th. And it will be at 6:30 p.m. my time, West Coast time. Remember, this is a broadcast out of Australia, so their daytime is, getting into my night, edging into your night, for those of you on the East Coast, or in the Midwest even. So it'll be 6:30 p.m. Pacific, 9:30 p.m. East Coast. That will be 8:30 Central Time. And we will be talking about, I'm not sure what we're going to be talking about. I mean, obviously, we're talking about the solar plexus mutation. I may go into some of the more crazy things that might come up out of that, and what to be watching for, right? As we're birthing something new here. It's like you're getting ready to have a baby, and you're watching for those birth pains, right? You're watching for the changes in your own body that signal that a change is occurring, that the baby is about to be born. And that's kind of where we are for these next 7 years. We're here in the watch hours for the impending birth. And of course, knowing that not all on one day is all of that going to happen. These are things that happen with, over time. So what does that mean for all of us? Where are we going? Who are we going to be when this is all said and done? J-Lo, on the bright side from the storm, I saved a bird. Oh, a green warbler. I'm taking it to a sanctuary today. We'll send you a picture to post. Thank you. I love doing that. And it seems to be bird saving time. My husband, who always seems to be he's always, if there's an emergency or some kind of crisis situation, he's always in it. That has been like that all of our lives together. And the last week, Friday, there was a falcon that had gotten into their warehouse at work, and it was flying around, and it was very young. They could tell it was young. And the guys in there, they're like, oh, I'll bring my gun tomorrow and we could just shoot it. And my husband's like, no, you won't. And at that moment, the bird sort of came down and landed close to where his boss's desk was. And he noticed an orange band around the foot of the bird. So he realized, wow, we can't just shoot this bird because it's banded. So they found out a wildlife sanctuary guy came, and between he and my husband, they saved the falcon. And it turned out he actually belonged to a man maybe, I don't know, 6 to 7 miles away. And it was he was rehabilitating the bird. So it's great when you find, wildlife that's in need, help them, right? You have the ability to help them. So I love that. Joyanne, sorry, I keep saying Joanne, but it's Joyanne. 7 years equals a Saturn quarter. Yeah, in a way, yeah. And that is an interesting way to look at that, Joyanne. I'll have to sit with that one, because a Saturn quarter, Saturn is getting ready, of course, to move into a conjunction with Jupiter on winter solstice at 0 degrees of Aquarius. So maybe that's the true beginning of that countdown of the 7 years. Interesting. Anyway, that's awesome. Thanks very much, everybody, for joining me today. Join us tomorrow, again, 8 a.m. right here. Hopefully, Zoom will be better and we won't have any crashing issues. And I won't have so much production work to do after the fact. If you like the video today, please hit the thumbs up button. You might have to do it twice because we had 2 videos. If you're new, please hit the subscribe button. Thanks. Take care, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.